What's up guys, LeopoldTheBrave here, and today we're going to talk about business stuff in regards to Crash Bandicoot's comeback. The revival of Crash's franchise has been full of so many good decisions, but notice how I said so many good decisions and not nothing but good decisions. That's because while there have been a lot of good choices made, I have seen a few missteps. Now they're not one step forward, two steps back decisions, they're not that bad. It's more like 4 steps forward, half a step back. You're doing good, you just wobbled a bit. Be careful, take your time. So this video is going to be all about just going over Crash's revival and seeing what they did right and pointing it out, and then seeing what they did wrong and pointing it out. And this is purely going to be on the business side of things, since any gripes with the games themselves come from opinions of the players, and not really business moves, like the difficult to find stuff in Crash 4 for 100% completion. For very obvious examples, bringing back Crash in general was a great idea business-wise. And putting microtransactions in CTR was a bad idea business-wise, whether or not they were insignificant. So with that said, let's begin. Their first good business move was their 5-year plan to release new Crash content every year for the duration. The trilogy remakes in 2017 were earth-shattering, of course, and then their ports to Nintendo Switch and Xbox One in 2018 was also earth-shattering because the trilogy had never been there before. In 2019, we got CTR Nitro Fueled, and in 2020, we got Crash Bandicoot 4, and finally, in 2021, we're getting Crash on the Run and the rumored PvP game. Hopefully the PvP game comes out next year, because I don't think Crash is quite at the point yet where a mobile game can carry him by itself for a full year. But either way, that 5-year plan was a fantastic business move to get a lot of Crash out in a short amount of time, so lots of people could see. You know, instead of just releasing the Insane Trilogy and waiting a couple years to see how it does before starting any other projects. That wouldn't have worked at all. The first bad business move would be in relation to the social media and marketing of these games. The Crash Bandicoot Twitter is infamous among the community for being one of the most boring for a game out there, and even cringeworthy at times. That tiny tiger high score top text bottom text meme haunts all of us. With how rich the world and characters are in the Crash Bandicoot series, we all expected it to be as creative and fan-driven as the Sonic Twitter account back when the Sonic Twitter account was still funny. But nope! We haven't even gotten to the ads and marketing either. Now, I'm sure you yourself have seen a ton of Crash Bandicoot ads leading up to each game. That's because the algorithm shows you them because it knows it's what you want. But the average person who doesn't look for something Crash related every week or even every month won't see these ads at all. They barely get anything. Not to mention the ads themselves are completely terrible. Instead of hiring some talented and funny people to make interesting and intriguing ads, they'd rather just get rappers and celebrities to give a quick shout out, like Snoop Dogg for the Spyro Reignited trilogy or Quavo for Crash 4. The best ads so far were the ones leading up to Nitro Fueled release where the Crash suit guy was just being a jerk to people in his car. That was great, but yeah, marketing bad. The next good business move is the amount of transparency and communication with the fans for these games. It's absolutely phenomenal, and I honestly can't think of a single game franchise that has gotten it better these past couple years than Crash. Here's just a few of the many examples I can give you. When the Insane Trilogy came out, we got 2 DLC levels, Stormy Ascent, which was based on a cut level that was removed from the original trilogy, and Future Tense, a brand new original level. Now at first they charged money for these levels, but people didn't exactly like that. There was no outrage or anything, but the developers saw that some people were uncomfortable, especially since Stormy Ascent was supposed to be part of the original trilogy. So, the developers decided to make them free, even the brand new original level, and they've been free ever since. Then we come to Beenox and their incredible communication with the CTR players. Reading the Activision blogs when each new Grand Prix came out was always exciting because we got to see what issues they'd address no matter how big or small. They buffed Wumpa coins, they added engine swaps, they fixed Rillabroo's face as an all-new character, they even went all out with a Reddit meme by including the Iron Checkpoint crate. Even though not all the issues got resolved like the online, it was still nice to have that much communication and transparency from the devs. And that continued into Crash 4. It was a big deal during their State of Play presentation when Lou Studdard came out and said that the skins would not require microtransactions. It was a pretty big fear people had after CTR, but he just outright said that they weren't there. And it wasn't said by an intern in an out-of-context interview in some random article. The producer of the game himself said it to our faces in a PlayStation presentation with his own voice. Now that's some good communication. Going back to CTR though, a bad business move was not supporting the game longer. I don't know if it was a Beenox decision or if Activision cut them short, but it definitely should have lasted longer. Usually multiplayer Activision games like Call of Duty have yearly releases. And they support each game for that full year until the next installment releases. Sometimes they even support them beyond that. Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled absolutely should have survived until Crash 4's release, including some contents from the game to promote it. Or at least it could have lasted until its 1-year anniversary, but it didn't even get that. So because it stopped dead in its tracks instead of just petering out quietly, the online player base dropped dramatically. I mean, there's still a lot of players, but not nearly as much as before. So yeah, CTR should have lasted way longer. Bad business move. The last good and bad business moves kinda tie into each other, as to make things easier to explain. Anyways, the last good business move is how they're not relying on nostalgia, and they are catering to all parts of the fandom, even the later ones that joined in during the Titans era. I mean, yeah, in the awful marketing, they do shove down your throat how you're going back to the 90s, oh yeah! But as for the games themselves, they've done a lot better. For example, in CTR Nitro Fueled, they added so much new stuff that it practically feels like a brand new game. And just the fact that they included Crash Nitro Kart characters, Crash Tag Team Racing characters, and so on, instead of just sticking to the original CTR cast, shows that they want to give every part of the fanbase some love. And then there's the fact that they went on to Crash 4, a brand new game, instead of just sticking to more remakes. Because a lot of the Crash games that came out after the original CTR, whether they were good or not, were still very divisive among the community, and didn't do as well. I love Twinsanity too, but it's fine the way it is. A lot of the charm about it comes from how unpolished and crazy it is. A remake would kinda ruin that, even if they added back in all the cut content. And the last bad business move is the lack of consistency in the last good business move. Because where CTR holds on tightly to all parts of the fandom and all parts of Crash's history, Crash 4 wants to forget it all despite being a brand new game. It only wants to hang on to the original trilogy. They do throw in a few nods and Easter eggs like Megamix and the Evil Twins, but story-wise it feels like they're trying to retcon the heck out of them. And while new and casual players who didn't really hop in until the Insane trilogy and didn't recognize anyone from CTR won't really care, it will slightly alienate the hardcore fans a bit, who miss their favorites. But what do you guys think? What were some good and bad choices Activision and the devs made when bringing back Crash? What could they have done better, and what did they do the best? Let me know down in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys next time. LeopoldTheBrave, out.